sorry. You don't really use the program, this, because it's offset from the torch so much. I go by just my eye. So, like manually, I'm not going to look at this. I'm just going to go up here manual. I'm going to move that torch. So, up here on this, you've got grip cut. Now, when you push the button now, it's actually going to cut. Latch is just, you don't have to hold the button down. You can hit latch and then the button is just going to go. If you hold the button down, it only moves so much before it stops off. So let's say we want to cut that piece off. All you have to do is push the left arrow. We're going to come down here and pull it off. It's going to give you an error because it ran out of material. You can reset that error here, close. Now in manual, you want to go, if you try to rip cut if you started from where we just left off. Go back to rip cut. See, that's as much as it can go with one movement. But if you push latch, it's going to go all the way to the end of the sheet. You have to stop it. Hang on, it didn't. Put it manual. You push latch to let it go. That'll be ripped up. Now, if you want to get back to cutting on that sheet, you're going to have to set it up your camera. Just go manual. You just reset right there. Because there's a difference in doing stuff manual. You always go by where your torch is on the sheet. If you're doing anything automatic, it knows how far it is from this point on the camera to the torch. So anytime you hit start, it's going to move the torch to this point and then start from there. So we won't cut another sheet right now. We're going to start that. And then when you're done, and you're going to switch things up or stop down, just go back power slide, turn your plastic unit off. You're going to cut. So when you do the new nesting plan, you're going to set the length and the width of your sheet. You don't have to do the thickness because the machine takes care of all that when you set your parts. So your length, this table runs this way, feet of what you're going to, so when you do the new nesting plan, you're going to set the length and the width of your sheet. You don't have to do the thickness because the machine takes care of all that when you set your parts. So your length, this table runs this way, right? Yep. So if you're doing a 10-foot sheet, or let's say 8-foot sheet, your 96 is going to be from the front of the machine to the back of the machine. Your width, your 4-foot section, is going to be left to right. So we'll set up right. Most of the material that comes in on that smaller stuff is actually 4 1/4 inch. We'll just do 48. 48 by 96. That you can pilot whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Let's just say bracket. So the only thing we need to do is the name and the length and the width. Nothing else on this screen matters. Then hit OK. So that sets your sheet up. Now here, looking at it, you're looking at it left to right too long ways, but you have to remember that that's going to be like that on the machine. So from here, to get your parts in there, you're going to go to import. And then let's look for something we got. I've got a bunch of files in here. Let's look at okay, we'll look at this candy one. Just double click that. Now this is where it'll go through and load. And depending on how intricate it is, this is taking up to an hour before to load the program. So normally it don't take that long, but just depending on how much, like those big gear scenes and everything, sometimes it'll take 45 minutes an hour just to load one into the software.
It's a lot of nodes on it and together.
Yeah. I don't know why this one's taking. We might choose another one. This one shouldn't be. This is just a word. Let's choose another one. I hate their software.
I like that sheet cam pretty good.
I've never used it. I've seen it on YouTube and stuff, and it seems like it's pretty straightforward. I swear it can take forever. The plasma cam software on here is what they used before I came here for the design program, and it's up to.
Okay.
I always used Illustrator, which I don't know if it's on here anymore because I bought that, and I only have 2 licenses, one at home and one
here.
The
license is out on it.
Yeah, and so when I went back to the house, my wife uses it now, so and I use it, so I don't think we can get to it.
I use that Inkscape normally. What I use, and I'll throw it in the Fusion 360.
I got you. So I always use Illustrator and save it as a DXF and import it straight into this. Come on. Let's just slow down here. And I'm going to close plasma cam.
I just kind of pulled them out. I didn't know what you needed done.
Yeah.
That's when I figured it's better than trying to let it load forever.
2013. I mean, it's been a while. All right. So new nesting plan. Bracket. 96, 48. All right. So that's our sheet. Let's import. Let's just import some brackets. 16 to 19 brackets. All right. So really, all you have to do is click import. All right. So once you import, this is a drawing, not a part. So in order to convert a drawing to a part, you'll right click on here. So if you've got multiple, they'll show up. You right click and hit create part. and then you click on layer, cut, translate, save.
And that saves your G code.
Nope, that turns it in from a drawing into a part.
No, okay.
There's a whole other thing to turn the G code. So we're gonna go back here to our sheet, and then we're gonna drag this down, which this one goes off the sheet, but click it wherever you want. Now, there's no simple way as far as rotate or anything like that. You have to go up here, modify, rotate, right click, and then rotate like this. There's no way to do like a type in 90 degrees. I wish there was. So you kind of just do it by, click it, and then from here, modify, move, right click, and then you can move it into here. All right. All right, so that's how we would lay it out on the sheet. Well, that. Now, it'll try to do an auto cut, like automatically put where you want it to cut. You start cutting, end cut, and all that, but it doesn't always work.
It's not always good.
I had to do it manually most of the time. If you use the scroll wheel on your mouse, that's how you'll scroll into it. So usually stuff like circles is pretty self-explanatory. You can see where it's got the auto cut, you know, where it's going to start and finish your cut. But let's say that you don't like where it is on the outside here, right? So you're going to have to, it's been a minute, so give me a second to figure out. All right. So right here on nest is where you've got all of your automatic sequence, place lead in, lead out, rotate lead in, lead out. If you've got something on here you don't want it to cut, you can disable, enable contour. So the first thing I always do is you want to make sure it's highlighted. I go to nest and then I hit automatic sequence. That's going to set the cut order and everything. Now let's say I don't like where the lead in and lead out is on this. I'll go up here to nest and hit place lead in, lead out. So I'm going to change it to this side. I'm just going to click where I want it. Where I can go back here and click. And then you have to kind of zoom out and reposition your cursor and zoom back in. But if you go off that corner, it's going to give you one of the arcs to lead in and lead out. So you just set that where you want it. And on all those like deer things and stuff, I'd have to go in and every hole reset because it always put it in some weird place where it's going to try to cut within where the sheet needs, where it don't need to cut. So that's kind of a pain, but a fairly straightforward thing. Let's say we've got this and we don't want to cut this; it just ended up in the program somehow. So from here, we would go to nest, disable, enable contour, and just click on it, and that's going to exclude it from the cut. So now, if you want to, you've got a full sheet here, and this is all the brackets on this job. Let's say you've got another job and you want to nest it with it. You just go back up here to File, Import, and let's look at this. So this is something I've already kind of nested with in Illustrator. So we're going to import it, and then once you import, you have to create a part. Right click, create part, click layer, cut, translate, save. Now this is ready to put in here. So we're going to nest this in here also. So first thing I'm going to do is go to automatic sequence on that too. And then see how this starts too close to the eye, the lead in? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to change that. So that's where you would go up here, nest, place lead in, lead out, and I'm going to choose somewhere else. And I'm going to do that on all of them. I'm just going to click and change where the lead in and lead outs are. Now, this is an example of it doing something weird. See right here? You want to keep this A, but the way it's got its cut, it's opposite. It's going to cut right through your good A. So you want to go somewhere else and click and see that took that off. But if you go here, for some reason, it's trying to say that you're going to cut right through that A to get your part, and that's not right. It's really buggy like that. So I recommend looking through the whole thing before you ever cut, because you're going to end up with something you're like, shoot, I should have changed that lead in. And that's a good example of that doing it. So you're just going to kind of look like right here, the 7, it's got it cutting right through this other letter. So we're going to change it until it has something we like. All right, so now we've got our sheet and we're ready to cut it. You're going to go to your nesting plan right here. So we named our sheet the bracket, right? So you right click on that and you go to export. You're going to name it, let's put brackets and 7 springs. All right, this is where it writes the G code. So you just hit save, and we're already, make sure you're on that thumb drive. Always look, just make sure I've got other jobs in there to make sure it's writing the right one. I'm gonna hit save, and it takes a minute. It'll pop up. Okay, so there's your G code. So it's saved. Right now, the only thing you have to do,
plug it in,
is go here. I would always recommend going to your USB, safely remove hardware, eject USB flash drive. When the machine first turns on, it's gonna look just like this. It's gonna say your control power's off. First thing you're gonna do is turn the control power on up here. Now, then you'll turn your torch on right here. You want this to be green. And you want this green. Now, if there's a reason why you need to not have auto height on it for like a segment of a cut, you can turn that yellow and it will follow it straight. But 99% of the time, you're gonna have that in green. And then this is gonna be blank here. So what you're gonna do is to set your machine up, that thing where it shows the camera's not on here. So you have to touch that screen and then it pops up. And then you go to camera graphics and that'll set where you want it on the machine. You can go here to manual and that brings your arrows up and you set it wherever you want. And then you're gonna hit reset. That's going to be your edge of the material starting point, wherever you set this. And it's important with the way I do it, just make sure it's square, otherwise you're going to run off the page at some point. So then to get back, we'll go back here to camera graphics, and then you're going to go to your part program. And USB drive E, you can choose your part. Once you get it, if you don't hit load, it'll automatically do it. Pop it up, then hit load. And then it'll prompt you to choose, see it's blank. So you'll have to set your what you want to cut in these two screens, and you want them to be the same on everything. So if we're going to cut 14 gauge steel, I would always use this 105 here and set my current to 80 amp or 50 amp if you've got something more of an intricate cut. Hit apply, but then you're going to have to set your interior, so you go back to database, interior, and then set that one up as well. 105, 80, apply. And if you're cutting the same thing out of different material length or thicknesses, all you have to do is just go back to your database and change them here. And in this screen is where it shows you what air you need. Your plasma cast is just oxygen and air. That's the only thing you need for running mild steel. And then once you're set here, you're ready to cut. All you have to do is go to process variables, plasma, and then under power supplies, you turn your plasma unit on. And then go back to your run screen. And then from here, you would just hit, after the plasma unit gets set up, you just hit start and cut. That all? Well, you make sure